Yo, what is up, everybody? John from Top Tactics here, bringing you another video. Today, we're going to be walking through my most recent tournament with Mont'ka. It was an RTT. We're going to walk through the list, my strategies going through each game, how I attack my opponent, any mistakes that I made, importantly. The last game that I'm going to show you is actually a bonus one. It's against a top 10 player in the world, Cody Giroux, who's the number one Drukhari player in the world currently. Maybe number two behind Scary. I'd have to fact check that. But we're going to definitely go through and see what mistakes I made, how I could have done better. But before we hop into the video, I want to give a shout out to our channel sponsor, Secondhand Geek. Now, if you aren't familiar with Secondhand Geek, they're an online marketplace for wargamers like me and you. Obviously, they sell more stuff than just 40K, but great place to go buy new 40K models and sell them. They actually charge half of what eBay does as far as buying and selling prices, so you get a lot more bang for your buck on Secondhand Geek. They also support other local gaming stores. So if you're interested in checking some stuff out on Secondhand Geek, I'd really appreciate it if you use my link down in the description below to sign up. That'll automatically enter you into channel giveaways. Most recently, we gave away a Shadow Sun and Riptide model. We've also given away Combat Patrol. I plan on continuing doing that. So anyone who signed up with my referral link will automatically get entered into future ones as well. Um, so thanks to Secondhand Geek for the sponsorship. Also wanted to just thank the channel in general and take a moment. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. Recently just got a new mic. Hopefully you guys can tell in the audio quality. Shout out to Uncle Mike. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into the tournament recap. So let's talk through the list really quickly. So I'm running Mont'ka. I've got double Cadre Fireblade, one with the Strike Swiftly enhancement. So this gives me the ability, if this unit doesn't start in a transport, to pick two units within 6 inches of the Cadre Fireblade model, and those units get the Scout 6 ability. So this is really important for lists like Mont'ka, like this one specifically. I'm running 2 Hammerheads, 3 Riptides, and 2 Devilfish. Deploying those 7 models safely is really difficult on the average GW board. So what this enhancement does, in combination with Darkstrider as well, gives me the ability to really manipulate my deployment and try to get the most out of my terrain access. With access to Scout 6 and Scout 7 with Darkstrider inside of a Devilfish, I can essentially redeploy units depending on whether I go first or second. So you'll see that in these tournament games. Darkstrider, I think he's a pretty good character with the Pathfinders. He gives them +1 wound if he joins the unit. I take him for the utility of having that 12-inch no-go zone, in addition to the ability to start him alone in a Devilfish, scout that up 7, and then deploy Pathfinders aggressively. So if I go first, I can then push up the table with them, potentially get an Alpha Strike on one of my opponent's scoring units, or I can then safely scout them back into the Devilfish because the scout move is a normal move. So what you can do is actually start the Devilfish 17 inches behind the Pathfinder unit, scout the Devilfish up 7, as long as you've checked before the game starts that you're exactly within 10. You can then scout the Pathfinder 7 back, put them in the Devilfish. So you can aggressively screen the infiltrates, take an aggressive line, but also make sure that unit is safe. We've got double breacher unit, double devilfish, all with the smart missiles. We got the double ion hammerhead. We got the Kroot and Pathfinder package. Really love those two. And then I've got double piranha just for some extra seeker missiles because I'm so heavy on strength 8 in this list. We got the Triptide with the twin smart missile systems, the 3 stealth suits, can't leave home without them, and then a Vespid unit. So just hopping straight into round number 1, we're playing Plague Legion Demons. So my thought process here is I wanted the Darkstrider unit to deal as much damage as possible. One thing you're going to notice about my deployment is I am pretty aggressive here with Riptides. Now, the reason I'm leading with Riptides on this side of the table is because I'm scared of my Devilfish and my Hammerheads being tagged. So because the Riptides have fallback and shoot, and my opponent's threat ranges aren't that significant, I'm basically starting out in the open. It was kind of funny before the round even started, before I even knew who I was paired into. My opponent, Bo, basically told me to my face, like, yeah, well, now that I can't run Soul Grinders, you just don't have to respect my damage at all. So I took that advice and ran with it and essentially started my Riptides out on the line. We've got 2 Ion Hammerheads ready to go threaten this angle. I found, especially on like layout, I believe this is layout 2 or 6, the Hammerheads really want to cover this side of the table because these are the longest firing angles. And in general, you really don't want these units to be tagged, so you want them to be in the spots where they can shoot your opponent with the longest distance in between them, whereas the Riptides want to be more so directly in the fight. Um, so this is after this, or before scouts, I believe. So we're gonna hop to the next photo. Yep, so my opponent went first here, bow. He scouted up, these are pink horrors, I believe, right here. This guy has an 18-inch lone op aura, so he's kind of stacking his army behind that. He's got a demon prince, he's got plague bears with the character, plague bears with the character, great and clean one, great and clean one. And so what I've done with my scout move is just scout this piranha back. I have scouted this piranha back, and I actually started both of the breacher units and devilfish just so I didn't really need the utility of this extra 6 inches here. I'd rather protect the breachers within the fish to guarantee that they're activating in a meaningful way. Alrighty, this is after my opponent's movement phase. He used his Battle Shock shenanigans to Battle Shock this guy. Oh, sorry, this is my movement phase. So he didn't really do much other than jumped up pretty hard in front of me. He didn't score either of his secondaries. He terraformed up top. So my thought process here is I want to kill everything that is in my line of sight and, available to shoot. So I step up all my Riptides. I get this guy within 18 inches. I also get these Hammerheads. I get lines over here onto this unit. I get lines onto that unit with Dark Strider as well. I start to terraform my objective. Area denial. Oh, excuse me. I've got, sabotage and area denial. I believe I sabotage here with these stealth suits. We get a line on this unit. Excuse me. This unit guides here. This unit guides this way. And so essentially we just pick up everything that we can that's right in front of us with the ability for him to go this way if I really need it. We've got the breacher unit for the pink horrors. They're a perfect unit for this one, so we do step them out. And again, just step our Riptide right in front of it so that we have a little bit of a block as far as getting charged is concerned. All right, as you can see, we're pretty successful here. We pick up this entire unit. We pick up the pink cores in one go. We get rid of the Nurglings. I think we put like 6 or 7 damage onto this great unclean one over here with the Riptide. So we're in a pretty commanding position here with all our damage out right in front of us. Our opponent doesn't really have reasonable charges into us here. And so we're in a pretty good position to shove pretty hard next turn. So as you can see, our opponent's like, all right, it's time for us to shove the big boys in the middle. At some point, you got to do it. He battle shocks this Riptide here, does a couple mortals to it, gets the big boy onto the middle objective. I don't believe he kills anything with it, so everything's in this lone op aura. The 6-inch lone op aura. We got the demon prince. We got the other great unclean one. We got 2 more plague barrier units. So at this point, it's time to step out every single damage dealer we have and see how much damage Mont'ka can really do. So as you can see, we step everything out into the middle. We use the breachers as a bit of a screen here to create a little bit of um, a block for this breacher unit here. Even though we're wounding on 6s into both of these units, we're still really effective. This unit that comes out of this devilfish over here makes a normal move so that it can throw a grenade. So it throws a grenade here, and we essentially just activate everything we can into these things until they're dead. Now, one really great change from the the change to Tau that happened, the split fire penalty and that not existing anymore is if we swing up and kill this thing quickly with things like Devilfish Seeker missiles or Piranha Seeker missiles, then we can easily switch targets while still getting all the benefits and be super efficient with how we apply damage. So we start with the units that can only shoot one thing. So these guys are outside of 18 of this guy, so we end up putting everything here. Dark Strider here is super helpful because he does have Rodigus in reserve, so he's creating this massive 12-inch bubble no-go zone where he can't rapid ingress. So his rapid ingress options are pretty poor, either right here where he's getting shot by these 3 units, or he could come down in this spot, none of which are super appetizing. He could also come up over there, so Dark Strider applying a lot of pressure there. And then you're going to see here, my entire thought process was we want to get rid of these 2 big boys. And if we can, we'll take care of the Demon Prince. As you can see, we just we just delete everything for the face of the planet. I don't think it was particularly close either. We just kind of went off there. So we took out the Demon Prince, both great unclean ones, and from here on out, our opponents he's still scoring points. I haven't been focusing as much on point scoring, more so relying on the fact that if I just deal enough damage to this army, it's just not going to be able to keep up from a material perspective. Um, so going into my opponent's turn. He does go for kind of a last-ditch push on this side of the table, where I have a bunch of crap just kind of sitting in his way of my home objective. I think that is one of my lost conditions. If I were to lose this game, it would probably be because he had 10 Plague Bearers on my home. So what he does is moves all these units up. He's preparing for some charges here, preparing to charge here and pile into these breachers, preparing to charge here and pile into this Devilfish and Stealth Suits over here. But all things considered, we're in pretty good shape. He elects not to deep strike the Great Unclean One. He's going to wrap it in his next turn. So as you can see, he gets all the charges off. He gets to pile this guy into the breachers. These guys take care of these breachers. He does successfully get the charge into the Devilfish up top. So making a concerted effort on this side of the table. But at this point, I really know that it's just going to come down to, like, am I going to be able to kill all this stuff standing right in front of me? And the answer, spoilers, is very much yes. So we do push this Riptide up the table to, again, just screen him out. Maybe get some shots on this guy where we know he's probably coming down over here. With the Rapid, we set up both Hammerheads. They're my most efficient activations into here and here now because the Breachers had to fall back. We step these guys on the objective in case any of his dudes live any longer to tell the tale. And if I remember correctly, another pretty brutal shooting phase. I think we get everything that we want there, except there's a lone character here. We didn't get to take care of this Beast of Nurgle, but pretty much our opponent's left with very little left, and we're still firing. So his turn, he steps some stuff up, he charges this Riptide. I don't think he doesn't even kill it. So I think really this game just came down to the fact that I had a bunch of damage. He didn't. He had no real way to influence or respect how I dealt damage. So I think we're just gonna hop right into the next one. So here we've got Drukhari. So my opponent's list, he's got a troop unit with a character in it. He's got, I believe this is the Solitaire right here. He has a unit Incubi with an Archon, unit Incubi with an Archon. This is a Kronos. Don't let it fool you. He's got another troop unit with the 18-inch Lonop, and then he has 3 of these 2-man bike units with the Haywires, and then he has 10 Scourge that are off the table. So this is where I use the Dark Strider trick to my advantage. So up here you can see we've got Dark Strider in this Devilfish. So what I've done is I have pre-measured where this Devilfish is going to end. So this is the Grundy maneuver. If you aren't familiar, you can Google it and get a full breakdown from Kyle Grundy himself on how to run this. But essentially what you do is you pre-measure where your scout is going to end up. So scouting 7 inches here, and then you measure out a 10-inch bubble from there, and that's where you can deploy your Pathfinders, where you could also scout back in the Devilfish if you really wanted to. I have the Scout 6 Cadre Fireblade outside of a Devilfish this game. The reason being is without any Scourge on the table, I wanted the ability to be super aggressive with this Devilfish. So what the Scout 6 enhancement allows me to do here is, if I go first, I Scout 6 this way, I could spend a CP, and I checked this before the game, I could spend a CP to go 18 inches here, and then I can shoot either this unit or this unit and essentially pick either of them up for free. So I really, really wanted to go first here. Also, the Pathfinders could do something similar. They could just come up, jail him, spot for themselves and the rest of my indirect, so I could indirect either this unit or potentially this unit. So I was really looking forward to potentially going first here, but I do end up going second. So what you're going to see here is my opponent. He has advanced and charge in his army. He rolls a decently high advance, if I remember correctly. What I end up doing is scouting these Crew Carnivores in front of my Devilfish just to see if I can make sure at least it doesn't get killed. He does step out bikes this way to shoot this Devilfish. He steps out bikes this way to shoot this Riptide. So he's taking a pretty aggressive line, just throwing stuff directly at me. He gets engage and extend. So Yeah, so let's see how much damage he does. So this is after the charge. Between shooting with the troop unit itself and from another unit, he does get the charge off. I think it was like a 5 or something like that. Gets hit my Devilfish, and if you've never faced these troop units, they have an absolute bucket of dice, so they do end up killing the Devilfish. And then this was pretty cool, to be honest. I didn't really realize how much of a pain this is gonna, in my butt this was going to be, but this unit actually piles in and consolidates 6, so he tags stealth suits, he tags stealth suits, he tags breachers. So I'm in a little bit of a sticky situation. It's nice that I have this breacher unit that can just come step up and hit him here, but he's kind of jammed me up in my DZ here, with the Riptides kind of staring these guys down. Okay, so as you can see in my movement phase, one thing you can't see here, there's a Venom on this objective. So what I've done is I've lined up these two Riptides over here, one to get a line on the Venom, another to get a line on these Haywires, because those need to go as soon as possible. If they continuously activate, they're going to do a bunch of damage to me. This two-man unit alone did 9 damage to this Devilfish. So what I've done here is I took a minute deciding how I was going to, continue with this game. He has an Incubi unit staged up here. He has another Incubi unit staged up here. Both have access to advance and charge. He basically just pushed me back over here, so I'm all jammed up in this part of the board, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if I continue to allow him to do something like charge this way with an Incubi brick and tag this part of my army, I'm never really going to be able to develop um, my Riptides, my damage dealers in a meaningful way. So what I want to do is deny him access to one area of the board, so I chose where my natural is at. I also get the bonus here of being able to shoot these Pathfinders up in this unit, spot for the rest of my army for their indirect, so I know I can do both a decent amount of damage to this unit and neuter this unit, so I actually spend a CP here to auto-advance these Pathfinder 6, so that I can do, hopefully as much disruption to him, and kind of mess up his game plan, which I sort of realized after turn 1, which is he's just going to continually do this to me, and I needed to like actively disrupt his plan or else I'm going to be a SOL. So, where did those bikes come from? This might be his movement phase. Yes, this is his movement phase, so I missed a picture or two. But what ended up happening is we killed about 7 of these Incubi between Pathfinder shooting and indirect. We took out this unit pretty easily with the Breacher unit that followed up. So now again, we took out this unit of Haywires, we took out this unit of Haywires. So now our opponent is left with Incubi Brick, Solitaire, or excuse me, not Solitaire, small troop unit with character, and a 5-man Cabalite unit with like the big guns in there. He's got the 10 Scourge as well, so got to be careful of those guys. And so now he blitzes his Solitaire. He's going to send them into more Breachers, hit my home again, and we'll see what happens from there. So he brings down the Scourge over in this spot. They bring a Riptide down to 1 wound, fire and fade back behind this ruin. The Solitaire hits me in the middle. He charges Kronos and Haywires over here. So we're kind of in a similar spot where he's just attacking exactly what's in front of him. Oh, he also sends this Incubi unit up into this corner into these stealth suits to charge them and tie me up over here. So what I'm thinking about at this point, and let's see what he does. I think the Solitaire just completely wipes the Breacher unit. That thing is so annoying. And yeah, he ends up taking out the stealth suits here, piling past this point right here. I actually auto-pass this Riptide, I believe. I believe so. I'm not sure why I auto-passed him. But anyways, this Riptide on 1 wound comes back behind this ruin to help deal with the Solitaire and this unit right here. I actually, because I lost the stealth suit unit, I lost a 3rd guide, which I really needed. So I put 1 guide on this unit, I put 1 guide on the Incubi brick, and essentially pointed a bunch of guns into my backfield to try to take some of the stuff out. I pointed this Riptide at this Haywire unit that was on the middle. I actually deal no damage to them, which was pretty sketchy because he had 4 OC on the point. I put this Piranha here to make it 4 versus 2. I really thought I would get at least one of them. So what I ended up doing is tank shotgun with the Piranha and getting both of them. I think I rolled 4 5-ups. Thankfully, some of these Pathfinders live right here, so they're just standing right in front of this Incubi brick, making it annoying as possible to go directly this way. I'd really be totally fine if he decided to attack this Devilfish with just Dark Strider in it. I'm not super concerned about killing them on the clapback. This Hammerhead lined up these Scourge here. We got pretty lucky and we took them out pretty easily as well. So this is now his turn. What he's done is brought more Scourge down. He has this 18-inch Lone-Op unit has come over here. We have Breachers still staged up, so we have kind of what we need to effectively take out what our opponent has given to us. Okay, so this is after his movement phase. He does move out this Incubi brick to the middle to take out the Piranha. This is after the Fire and Fade from the Scourge. He does shoot this Hammerhead. I think he split fired. He put one on the Hammerhead, and he didn't get any wounds into this Breacher Fish here. So really just a last-ditch effort. Like he was trying to continue to put the pressure on, but just ran out of units too quickly. Obviously still have all my damage dealers up, so I'm feeling pretty good at this point. There's the Incubi brick taking out the Piranha. And then this is our turn. So this is just the knockout punch. We step all of our damage dealers forward. We auto-advance 6 these Breachers so we can activate them into this unit over here. And I think all he has left right now is this unit of Scourge, something on his home, and that's pretty much it. So smooth sailing from that point. Cool, and then this game, I will not lie to you, this was game 3 of the RTT. I was so excited to play my opponent that I forgot to take first couple pictures, which is a shame because this board actually, this purple board really makes all of my units pop here, so I thought it would be cool to put this on. So my opponent, Randall, he was running 2 of the Wraith Knights, the ones with the melee, and he was 2-ing out the RTT, so shout out to Randall for doing such a good job with those guys. The rest of his army was pretty sparse. He decided to take Bring It Down against me just to try something else out, try something new. What I will point out is kind of just quickly kind of my thought process into his list. So what he ended up doing was he deployed a Wraith Knight here. He had one in reserves. This unit right here was behind this point right here, and then he had the 2 walkers in the back, the Wraith Lords. So what he actually did was he started a unit of flamers right here. He put 1 guy on the objective. So what I did was fairly aggressive. I had started a Breacher Fish right here because he had no real long-range shooting threats, and if he did want to throw 2 of these Wraith Lords out to try to kill a Devilfish, which is probably what it required, I had enough movement here with Riptides and otherwise to get some angles on him and punish him for the clapback. So, as I believe there's an Ion Hammerhead down here as well. So what I did was I created a line of Breachers right here to get, they want to say it was 6 dudes seeing the 2 of his Wraith units with Flamers. So he did take the Overwatch. He rolled double ones. Into double ones, it was like 5 ones in a row. He CP rolled one of them too, and it was really bad. So what we realized after the fact was he probably should have just used one of his tokens to reactive move after I shot him to get behind this place, because my thought process was if I take this unit out, he really has nothing else other than the Wraith Knight to answer it, and the Wraith Knight was staged right in this pocket here, so he could have pretty easily staged behind here and attacked this part of my table to get him that Storm Hostile and get this Wraith Knight tagging a bunch of stuff in my army. So what I wanted to do was force something to come deal with these Breachers here, and disincentivize him from going this way, which is, into the meat of my army. So I did end up taking that whole unit out with the help of this Ion Hammerhead over here. So he did end up having to send this Wraith Knight this way. He was pretty tilted. He was pretty tilted after that. So and he knew this wasn't the best matchup for him. So what he ended up doing was just sending both Wraith Knights. He sent one this way to this Breacher unit, and then he set up for a 9 into these Pathfinders over here. He did not get the 9. He did kill the Breachers, so I set up full rerolls to hit onto this Wraithblade, and then I stepped out every single gun that I had. This was the post, which was Breachers were shooting here, and they threw a grenade. Now, these 2 things have -1 damage. They have a 2-4 with -1 damage, so they do take a lot of punishment. But between all the Seeker missiles within the list, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 Seeker missiles and all of the devs on the Riptides, plus all of the Hammerhead shots, plus the Breachers, plus the Pathfinder unit with +1 to wound. It all just adds up really quickly. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. I ended up taking out 900 points of his army in a single turn just for those 2 Wraith Knights. So Mont'ka can still do a ton of damage even if you don't bring Riptides. It's the name of the game. Alrighty, so last but not least, this is a practice game that I had into Cody Giroux, who's like, I believe he's like top 10 in the world, top 15 in the world at this point. So he's running Drukhari. He has triple Beast Pack. So I want to talk about deployment a little bit here. One thing that Cody and I spoke about post game was how light I was on this side of the table. Now I did make a change to this list. So what I did was I actually dropped Darkstrider and I dropped the Strike Swiftly enhancement to get another unit of Pathfinders because I think Pathfinder is just that good right now. So really just as a unit that is -2 to charge, so if he tries to attack my home, I can get some value out of that, and also just a pretty good skirmishing unit for the guns that they bring to the table. Now what you can see is I do have like a bit of a parking lot going on up here. I do deploy this Devilfish fairly aggressively. I think if I deploy him outside of line of sight, there's like essentially not much the Devilfish is going to do. So at least here, it has the ability to threaten up in this side of the board. These Pathfinders are here to scout 7 this way and block off this Beast Pack unit from being able to charge me. So I think that's the thing that scares me most. These guys move 9 and then, or excuse me, they scout 9, move 12. So I know that if I'm going first here, I have to be able to, or excuse me, going second, I have to be able to stop his scouts from getting into the juicy parts of my army, like Devilfishes, for example. Now, one thing that I did talk to Cody about was, and I think a really good thing to consider moving forward, is I didn't have a great opportunity to push this part of the table, and because I started everything on the table, I didn't really have a ton of influence into this area of the board because I was too focused on staying away from Cody that I didn't have a threat off the table that could come off of a board edge and force him to feed me units like I was being forced to feed him because he did have the Court of the Archon off the table, and if you haven't encountered that unit, it does hit pretty dang hard. So let's hop right into it. So I end up going first, and he scouts his Beast Packs over into this area. I made an experimental play, which was running this Breacher unit forward and trying to take out one of the Beast Packs. I also, as you can see, we get these Pathfinders up into this area of the table. Now, I think looking back on this, there's just too much stuff on this side of the table. I think the Iron Hammerheads are in a good spot because they have access to these lines, so we want them to be over here. But I don't have a ton of strong influence into this part of the table. He's got his big troop unit over here that can advance and charge. So I'm trying to be as aggressive as I can be, but unfortunately, you'll see what happens here is with all the indirect, I kill one Scourge, so I take out the one guy in the unit who doesn't have a gun. I kill another Scourge, another guy in the unit that doesn't have a gun, and I cripple the 2 Beast Pack units, which is important here because they're the units that are going to solve or bypass these problems because the rest of his army is going to be able to take out these Breachers and then tag the rest of my army. So we do successfully move block here. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I got extend for 4. I'm set up pretty well to have a 10 with this Piranha. And I did a decent amount of damage, not as much as I was hoping to. I really wanted to take out all the Beast Specs, but that really wasn't realistic. Looking back on it, I think a better play would have been to, instead of shove this Devilfish all the way at the table, I could have easily put Kroot right here to move block the 2 Beast Packs from being able to tag me, and essentially get what I want, which is still the Beast Packs coming out into a spot where I don't have to like overexpose my army to kill them. Then they're right here, and then I can kill those Beast Packs pretty effectively. And one thing that I talked with Cody about is the biggest threats to his list, my biggest threats to his most important units, which is this Brick of Harlequins and the Court of the Archon, is the Breacher unit. So giving away one of my ace in the holes early just for a Beast Pack wasn't super effective. So kind of need to have a better understanding of like what are my answers versus his answers and not throwing those away super quickly. Okay. So going into his turn, we see he moves up these Scourge. I was really interested in this. So he actually moves up his Scourge. He doesn't fire and fade them back. What he does instead is he's planning to charge these Breachers. He moves up these Talos to get a line on this Devilfish. He moves up these Scourge to get a line on the Devilfish. Moves up this Beast Pac-Man. These guys stay put. And what does he pull here? He pulls Extend and Recover. So pretty straightforward. This is after a shooting phase, takes out the Devilfish, doesn't do any meaningful damage to the Piranha, which I think was his intended target with the Darkland Scourge up there. So we're in a pretty okay spot. I know he's going to come to charge this way after the fact. But again, if you kind of look at where I'm staged right now, I have the ability to get down to this line, try to kill these Talos. But I'm not in a position where I can really interact super well and meaningfully with this pocket right here. I could technically do it with Breachers, but again, I don't want to send out those Breachers just for the Beast Pack, because I'm kind of walking into this 10-man unit right here, plus his Court of the Archon, which is going to Rapid Ingress at some point soon. Cool, so as you can see, he does get charges off with this Talos unit. He gets charged off with the Beast Pack. So now what I'm doing is preparing for the Rapid Ingress. So what I've done, and preparing to get charged by this unit right here. So what I've done is create this big old line of dudes so that I can step out all of my damage dealers fairly aggressively, and get shots downrange, pick up as much of his units as I possibly can. So I've got this Riptide on this Talos unit, I've got this Riptide up here. I think this Riptide has 6 wounds remaining if I remember correctly. I think it might have been from either the Darklance unit or the Talos, but he's pretty injured, so I feel really fine just moving him aggressively up the table to kind of complete this screen right here. Now, one thing I tried to do here is leverage this Devilfish to keep these Breachers safe. Now, what I didn't really consider was the fact that, like, this Piranha, like, this kind of relies on that Piranha living. Because if this Piranha dies in shooting, then it's pretty easy charge to tag this Breacher unit, which is kind of what you'll see happening, which is a little unfortunate. One other thing you'll notice here, and kind of the reason that Cody and I kind of talked about, okay, maybe we should have put something in reserves, is you'll notice this Riptide here just doesn't really activate the entire game. There's nothing meaningful for him to be shooting right now. We already have an Iron Hammerhead lined up the Scourge. We got this Devilfish lined up here. We got the Piranha. This Hammerhead's already covering this angle, so we kind of just have a floating Riptide this game that's not getting a ton of value, and I think that ends up being pretty significant for us towards the late game. I end up moving this Piranha or this Pathfinder unit out just to try to deal as much damage to this Beast Pack as I can, thinking that it's fairly safe in this position right here. What Cody ends up doing is he does Rapid Ingress the Court unit right here, basically to solve all of these problems. We do what we're supposed to do. We kill those Talos. We put some wounds on this Kronos. We kill this Scourge unit. We cripple this Beast Pack. There's actually 3 of them left, which is pretty annoying because that means that unit can then clear a screen. But I personally, at this moment, am feeling pretty good. I think this Breacher unit's safe. I think that this unit isn't going to take a ton of damage. I feel like I will lose this and these, basically the things that are all in front of him. But at which point, it'll essentially be these guys versus Talos, Scourge. So, anyways, I feel like it's a pretty even fight as long as I can continue to activate these 3 units here. Alright, so what he does is he moves up pretty aggressively here. He gets the Kronos up into here, another Kronos, and then he does advance and charge this unit, sends a couple of those flame pistols into those melt pistols into the Piranha. And so this is where I start to get a little nervous because I'm like, oh boy, there is actually a gap there where his troop unit, if they kill the Devilfish, can easily pile into the Breachers, which could be a little bit scary. So as you can see, he does end up killing the Devilfish. It was not even close. That unit just melted that Devilfish. He tags my Breacher unit, tags my Hammerhead. So I'm in a bit of a sticky situation. Kills all my screens. So now I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall. And at this point, more than anything, I don't think there's a ton in my control to win this game. He's just got too much pressure on this side of the table, too much ability to still threaten my home with things like advance and charge. He's got the Vectora, which is super powerful, and I don't have it. Now we're going to. This is going to be my turn 4. So I just do not have a ton of ability to threaten any of these, units, and really what I needed here was to have a breacher unit able to threaten this spot of the table. That's what I needed to win this game, in my opinion. So it might have even been a breacher unit out of reserves, just to be something reactive to one of these two units. But instead, I'm stuck in combat. One thing to note about breachers, which is kind of nice here, is what I ended up opting with because I think I had to be greedy, was the Cadre Fire Blade's ability gives them an extra shot for each of their weapons when they're activating, so that also counts for pistols. So what I ended up doing was just staying in combat here with these breachers, shooting like 16 pistol shots at him, and keeping the Hammerhead in combat, shooting his indirect plus seeker missiles at them, and just hoping that that was going to be enough. I ended up getting Cull the Horde as well, so this Riptide ends up shooting into this Beast Pack, this Riptide ends up shooting into this unit, but at this point, we're kind of in, we're kind of screwed. So we do get super lucky here. What we end up doing is we kill like 7 out of the 11 Scourge, or excuse me, troop unit in shooting, and then we end up tank shotgun with Riptide, killing it down to the character, and then the Riptide punched the character to death to get me Cull the Horde and no Priz for max. We did a moderate amount of damage to the court unit, but you'll see there somewhere over here there's a Solitaire Man, and this guy's going to cause me some issues. It's another aspect of the Drukhari army that's pretty tough for Tau to deal with. Is this guy just made essentially a normal move, so it's when he blitzes, he moves 12, plus he can advance and shard. So blitzing is he has his normal move 12 inches, then he rolls 2d6, and then he has a third d6 for advance and shard. So I think he went like 23 inches or something. So he comes here to just take my home. I get some lucky shots here with the Dark Lance unit with sustained hits. And now essentially again we're kind of back in this position where I'm just reacting. I am killing him, but I'm killing him from a point where I'm losing the game, which I think is like the important thing here is I've set up to get meaningful activations with these Hammerhead units from this firing lane here pretty significantly over and over again, but what I really needed to be able to do was continuously send units this way um, to threaten this area of the table because he's just so easily projecting threat here. He has a better threat projection over here to threaten my natural. And if I had a breacher unit, for example, he would have to continuously throw units down the sides of the table to screen me out because I have such a large threat range. So, um, yeah, no, great game by Cody. I mean, he kicked my butt. It's always great playing like super great players to see where their head's at. But yeah, just going through the rest of the game, the Solitaire ends up killing his stealth suits, pile into these Vespid. Oh. And from there, it's a bit of a wash. Now, I do kill a bunch of his unit. I almost kill the court. But at this point, he's got mandrakes that just drop onto my home. And we're just kind of playing with the dregs of my army. So that's going to do it for today's video, everybody. Hope this was helpful. I know it was a little bit of a ramble session, but just wanted to walk through kind of how I'm deploying my army, why I'm taking the units that I'm taking, and just pointing out some of the mistakes that I'm making just so you guys can learn from it too. Also want to give a shout out to the channel's patrons. Thank you everybody for the support. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, get us to 3,000 subscribers. That's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.